Election nerds, this interview is for you. My name is Brad Pomerance. You are watching Charter Local Edition, and we are joined today by Dean Logan. He is the Registrar Recorder of Los Angeles County. He has the job that all election nerds want to have, including myself. He runs elections for LA County, and look what I got in the mail yesterday. I was so excited. You have decided, you got some press on this, to include the I voted sticker for permanent absentees like me.
You know, it's interesting. This is, of all the things we do and all the different people we talk to, regardless of demographic, this is the common denominator, is everybody remembers the I voted sticker. So the fact that we're providing those in vote-by-mail packets this election has got incredibly good press.
I was going to say, we like that. Well, congrats on that one. We are receiving our sample ballots in the mail, regardless of whether we're VBM, permanent VBM, or otherwise. Right. Here happens to be but one example of a sample ballot for Los Angeles County. I want to get a sense from you, how many of us are VBM?
So we have about 4.9 million registered voters in LA County, largest elections jurisdiction in the country.
Oh, it is.
And about a third of those are vote-by-mail voters. So
meaning permanent
vote-by-mail voters. So we mailed out in our first mailing, we mailed out about 1.6, 1.7 million vote-by-mail ballots, and then we do that on a daily basis leading up to the election. I think we'll probably surpass 2 million vote-by-mail ballots in this election.
And what percent of those ballots that you send out tend to be returned? I know I can't ask you about this coming election, but what has history told us?
Yeah, it depends on the election. I mean, so similar to overall turnout, the profile of the election matters. What we do know, though, is that vote-by-mail voters always vote at a higher rate than poll voters.
Do you have a sense at what the spread is?
Again, it really depends. Like in this year, in a presidential year, you're not going to see as big of a disparity there. It's really in the off-year, nonpartisan local elections where you see that.
It's so easy. If the ballot comes to you, and California has such permissive vote-by-mail rules.
Right. You know, I think what's interesting about that, and I mean, in fact, I just talked about this at another event, is vote-by-mail is clearly an important option and needs to remain an important option. But I don't know that we could put all of our eggs in that basket.
Well, Oregon did.
Yeah, they did. But I guess I have some concerns that in the long term, that's going to be somewhat limiting. I mean, we have a very diverse population, and trying to meet them with only one method of voting worries me. I mean, we have generations of voters coming up who they're not going to think the Postal Service is convenient like you and I do.
Well stated.
It's not the way. It's not
the mail
way they
is so
function.
20th century.
Right.
And I will admit, there is something about going to the polls that is very kind of heady, nostalgic in a certain way. I mean, honestly, some of my memories of my parents were taking me to the polls. I'm a nerd, so I remember this. But then, you know, watching them vote.
Well, I think that's the appeal. I mean, all laughing aside, I think that's the appeal of the I voted sticker with the vote-by-mail ballots. Is it gives you that sense of community and that you wear it with pride. Somebody described it in a radio interview to me as they see it as the gold star of achievement. Once you voted, you get that I voted sticker, which is great.
I want to talk about, if I may, the presidential primary, because the rules are different depending on your party selection or lack thereof.
Right.
If you would like to vote in the Democratic primary for president, what party must you register?
So it's a very different election, and this is really two primaries being held at the same time, the presidential primary and the statewide primary.
Right.
For the presidential contest, the Democrats have a semi-open primary, which means if you're registered to vote with a preference of Democrat, obviously you get the Democratic candidates. If you're a no-party preference voter, or sometimes referred to as a declined to state voter, you do have the option, the Democratic Party does allow you the option to cross over and vote in their primary, as does the Libertarian and the American Independent Party.
So if you are a no-party preference ballot like this one, do you have all parties listed?
No, you have to affirmatively request it. So when you go to the polling place and sign in, they'll ask you, they'll give you the options. And again, for a no-party preference voter, you can have the no-party preference ballot, which will not include the presidential contest, or you can request a Democrat, Libertarian, or American Independent Party.
And what if you're a permanent vote by mail?
Then we sent out a postcard in advance of the election, giving them the
okay.
choices. But they have up until the weekend before the election to request a replacement ballot. So if somebody's watching this and they're sitting at home with a no party preference ballot and they want to vote in the Democratic primary, they can request, or they can go to the polling place on election day and do that.
What if you want to vote in the Republican primary?
So the Republican Party has a closed primary, which means they only allow voters who register to vote with a party preference Republican. So if you're not registered as a Republican, you don't have the option to vote in that contest in the primary.
A few months back, the LA Times did what I thought was a brilliant piece of journalism regarding the American Independent Party. The American Independent Party is not no party preference or being an independent.
Exactly.
Explain, sir.
And again, for a lot of new voters, this is the first time people are going to encounter this, that American Independent Party is an actual party. It's an organized party with a charter and a platform. Pretty interesting platform if you do the research. So if you're registered to vote as American Independent Party, you're going to get American Independent Party candidates, and those are going to be your choices on election day. If you registered thinking that that was independent in the sense of being nonpartisan, that's not the case. That would be no party preference.
So we have an open Senate race, a U.S. Senate race in California. Barbara Boxer is not seeking re-election. There are 34 candidates running, which on the LA County ballot takes 2 pages.
Exactly.
You called attention to that with your colleagues up and down the state and did what?
Well, I think we saw right away that, I mean, that's a significant number of candidates in any contest, but for a contest like United States Senator, which is at the top of the ballot, open seat, we only have 2 U.S. senators representing the whole state of California, and so we're going to narrow that 34 down to only 2 choices for November.
Top 2 primary, not 1 Democrat, 1 Republican. Top 2 advance.
Add to that on our voting system at the polling place, that means in order to see both pages, you actually have to turn the page to see the rest of the contest.
So if you go to the poll, you need to turn a page.
Right.
If you're like me, VBM, you're going to see it like this.
You're going to see it on facing pages like that. And you only get to vote for one. So frankly, our biggest concern was that people would vote for a candidate on each of the pages, which would be an overvote, and that would throw out their vote in that contest. Obviously, we don't want that to happen.
But if you're in the poll, the machine will
the
alert
precinct
you.
ballot reader will alert you that you overvoted, and you will be offered the opportunity to have a replacement ballot, but it means you have to start completely over, and this is a long ballot. So what we did is we tried we actually mocked up several different ways of doing this with instructions and warning notices, and out in front of our building set up voting booths and tried them out to get the best method that we could.
And you do have this alert sign right here letting people know. I mean, I'm in LA County. I'm sure other counties are doing something similar to this. Another change, I think this will be the first time we'll see this change, is when your vote by mail ballot will or will not be counted.
Right. So historically in California, in order for your vote by mail ballot to be counted, we had to receive it, actually physically have it back in our office by the time the polls closed at 8 o'clock on election night. And you could do that at polling places or through the mail. 2 years ago, the legislature passed a law that will allow us to count ballots that are postmarked by election day, but received within 3 business days of the election.
And so you've been doing that?
So we started last year in the off-year election, and that'll be the case this year. So for a lot of voters, this will be the first time that they've seen that.
Automatic registration. It is around the corner. Tell us about automatic registration.
So we prefer to actually call it automated registration.
Either term is fine.
So this will go into effect next summer. It's a collaborative effort with the State Department of Motor Vehicles, the Secretary of State, and county registrars. What it will do is it'll identify people on the DMV database who meet all the qualifications to be a registered voter, but who are currently not on the voter rolls. And then when you come up for renewal of your driver's license, your state ID card, it will automatically put you on the voter rolls. And instead of you affirmatively becoming a voter, it would be on you to affirmatively opt out of being a voter.
Does that put you out of business?
No, I mean, I think what it does actually is it allows us to shift resources to things like focusing on voter outreach and education, a more modernized voting system, as opposed to processing these paper forms that we've done for decades and decades.
He is Dean Logan. He is the Registrar Recorder of Los Angeles County. The primary election is June 7th. Don't forget to vote. My name is Brad Pomerance, Charter Local Edition.